Alright, sick. I'm gonna have to fix some of this stuff real quick. That's one. This is two. And three. Oh, it's coming. I'll get that in just a second. Alright. Webcam, no. Yes, actually, the webcam is what I'm worried about. Timer. Come on. Get the timer. Okay. Alright, good. Move you down there. Is that... There's no space between the camera and the side of the thing, is there? Like, that's fine? Should be okay. Alright. Alright. Good. That's what matters. God damn it, I'm dropping frames again. I have dropped 43%, 42% of my frames. Gonna have to, you know what? Where is... Internet speed tests? Give me something. Download. My upload is fine. I don't know what is going on here. Give me 1 second, all right? All right, I'm back. How's that doing? Well, it's not showing anything. That's an issue, I think. Okay, well, we're back now. Still not, where's my bitrate? Let's change this down to 4500. Here we go. All right, this is a bit lower of a bitrate. We'll see if it holds there. All right. The stream might be a little bit lower quality than usual, but this is in the interest of having a stable bitrate and not dropping too many frames. So instead of it being at 6,000 kilobits per second, it's going to be, I've set it to 4,500. I'm still dropping a considerable amount of frames, which is unfortunate. Let's see if there's an update. Finished, okay. So far, so good. I haven't dropped any frames, and the stream still looks fine. All right. I'm dropping a few there. It seems like this is going to be a little bit stuttery. I don't know if there's anything I can do about that. In fact, it might be worth it to call Verizon and ask if there's something going on there. Well, look, anyways. I'm going to launch the game. That's what I'm going to do. And we're going to get into it. Yeah, I'm still getting a fluctuating bitrate, but it's not as bad as when I had it pegged to 6,000. So we're looking okay so far. Ah. I don't know why my Wiimote does this. Every now and again, it just continually pings. There we go. Cool. Let's go. Let's go, indeed. Alright. To the folks who like when I play Minecraft, I apologize, but that game is not as streamable as Mario Kart Wii for me. I think I'm, like, more and more I'm leaning into Mario Kart Wii as my given, like, stream game that I do regularly. You know? But either way, because the stream yesterday didn't go so well, in terms of me dropping frames, in terms of the flow of stream, etc., etc., I think that today I'm gonna go back through some of the things I wanted to talk about yesterday. Starting with, I organized my thoughts quite a bit better about this. The debate. Now, 2 nights ago, the first presidential debate since Biden dropped out happened. This would be the second presidential debate this cycle. It was between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump on, I believe, ABC, but C-SPAN also broadcast it. So it was a public broadcast, but it was hosted by the debate. Excuse me. The debate itself was done by ABC. There were ABC anchors as the moderators, and I have some thoughts on it. Boy, howdy, do I have some thoughts on it. So the stream title of last stream definitely holds. This debate was indeed Trump's personal 9/11, right? I'm gonna break it down. You know, post-mortem on the debate, real quick. So at debate start, initially I actually had a bad feeling about this because Kamala Harris, like, the first question that was asked was a pretty generic, like, oh, are Americans better off now than they were 4 years ago? And Kamala Harris actually, like, didn't really answer the question. She kind of went on a whinging, winding kind of anecdote. And I was like, well, that's not great. But very quickly, she actually managed to turn it around. Very quickly, Kamala Harris was able to sort of turn around the discussion and make her introductory comments and her introduction overall into an economic, like, policy attack against Donald Trump. She went on the offensive very early, and in fact, she did not hold back. She did a really great job in hammering on most issues, in fact, particularly stuff like abortion, January 6th, for all the flaws in the Democratic approach that entails, and then healthcare as well. Again, there's some flaws there, but she did a good job framing the issue, and the whole background that she has as a prosecutor, a public attorney, and how Trump is a felon. She was very consistent in sort of hammering in that line of attack as well, which was great. Oop, I was looking at my notes, kind of lost track of the race for a second. Rough start in the race, but you know, it happens. All right. In fact, it was with her like more or less policy oriented attacks on Donald Trump. It was very revealing the degree to which Donald Trump really doesn't have a policy plan of his own. He doesn't have many affirmative policy prescriptions, nor does the Republican Party. They have a lot of negative policy prescriptions. There are a lot of things that the Republicans don't like and want to ban, you know, and stuff like that. But, you know, especially like with subjects such as infrastructure and healthcare, there's clearly no affirmative rhetorical messaging from the Republican side. It's all about which group of people do we want to hurt. You know, and I think that was borne out very well in Trump's one response to the question about the Affordable Care Act, when his infamous response came up that no, you know, he didn't have a plan, but he has concepts of a plan, you know, and the like. You know, that was good. That was good on the policy angle. It was nice to see the Democrats asserting that like the Republicans don't care about you. They don't have a plan for you. They have nothing. And but that's not all. Kamala Harris also did a good job of going in and goading Trump's ego. This is a perspective in which Trump is especially vulnerable, is that he cannot resist the ego comments and the ego-driven argumentation. She mentioned crowd sizes and his rallies, the attendance of his rallies, and she also called him a loser, and she called him gay for strongmen. I'm not like, I'm a little bit hyperbolic when I say that, but she said that Trump adores strongmen. She used the word adore, and said that he constantly writes love letters to Kim Jong Un, and I was like, no fucking way. She like got up there and called him gay for dictators. And you know, personally, I love to see that. And on a more serious note, she directly called him a racist, which is objectively true. She also called him a rapist, again, objectively true. The courts have determined as much. And you know, used both the court cases and Trump's record as a landlord, respectively, to back that up. You know, these are things that, like I said, there is hard evidence to substantiate the claim Trump is a racist and Trump is a rapist. But the Democrats never invoke that line of attack because you know, they're like, oh, that would be too uncivil, right? So for once they started doing that. Whereas before they wouldn't have had the balls to say anything. But then back to the subject of Trump's ego, which was ever present throughout that debate. The fact that Kamala Harris was on the offensive the whole time meant that Trump was on the defensive. That, you know, that's typically how offense and defense works. If somebody else is on the offense, then their opponent is on the defense, you know? And when you're explaining in politics, if you're explaining, you're losing. You know, very much so. Trump was on the back foot the whole time, didn't really have an opportunity to dictate the pace of conversation, and you know, because Kamala Harris didn't let him have that opportunity. You know, add on top of that Trump getting flustered, compounded on top of his mounting incoherence. He's very clearly in steep cognitive decline. A lot of the campaign cycle, people kind of ignored it because Biden was, you know, sounded way worse. But now that Joe Biden is gone, and now that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are the Democratic candidates on the ticket, it is very evident just how cooked Donald Trump's brain is. In fact, the whole time, I noticed this as I was watching the debate live, the whole time, nothing Donald Trump said, like, made any sense. Seriously, if you go back and watch the debate, if you see clips from it, listen to Donald Trump and just try to follow anything that he says. Try to follow, like, you know, try to say, okay, he's saying this about this, like, try to follow his line of argumentation, the line of conversation, whatever. It's completely incoherent. It doesn't make sense. It's all over the place, you know? And that really doesn't look good, especially when the opponent is so comparatively put together. You know, Trump was kind of like, he wasn't very shy or reserved the way that Biden was about saying things on the debate stage. So he's still, to a certain degree, sort of like, he's confident about what he's saying. But the fact that he's so consistently wrong and whatnot just comes off as blustering for the most part. You know? Um, and this didn't help with the fact that, you know, or this didn't help with the ego traps either. Trump fell for a lot of really easy ones. I mentioned the crowd sizes and whatnot, but I should also mention there was a bit that Kamala Harris and the debate moderators as well brought up about the 2020 presidential election, now 4 years ago, and his criminal charges that he had been convicted on in court and so on. And that sort of constant barrage of inconvenient questions and offensive rhetoric from Kamala Harris put Donald Trump in such an uncomfortable situation that we got this absolute gift of a line from the debate. And I'm going to quote Trump directly. "They're doing transgender operations on illegal aliens in prisons." That sounds like a Mad Lib, but he really did say that. He really said it. You can look at the clips. Future me in the editing, if this is a segment, roll the clip, baby. And there you have it. Right? Like, legitimately self-parody tier shit. You know? Ooh, new version of this track. Oh, this is a lot smoother. I like this. Wow, this is such a good rendition of this track. So that's like what's what on like Kamala Harris and Donald Trump themselves in that debate, right? Now I should talk about the moderators. The moderators were in some ways a very frustrating component of the debate between Trump and Biden, but they were a delightful component of the debate here. And what I mean when I say that is they actually moderated. Usually, you know, a lot of people don't even remember or don't have a great conception of what a debate moderator is because a lot of the moderators don't actually moderate debates. When you have a debate with a moderator, what that means is that there is a non-participant in the debate whose role is to fact-check any of the claims made by the debate participants. If somebody says something false, they are liable to be fact-checked mid-debate. And the moderator will say, just so we're clear, this has been debunked. That is a false claim, you know? And the moderators actually did that with Trump, which is wild. It's wild that they did that, and it's wild that they did that. Because, you know, that's supposed to be what moderators do anyways. But then also, like, the media has such a preference to defer to the right wing that I, like, was genuinely surprised that they did that. Oops. No. Rip. Hey, at least I'm not getting bleeding. I raced really bad, but I'm still getting second, so that's what's up. They also asked some of the really baity questions as well, the moderators. They asked very inconvenient questions, which I appreciate. Moderators in a debate, if there's such a structured debate where you have moderators and there's going to be like scripted questions that will be asked of you, they should be somewhat inconvenient. They shouldn't be layup questions, you know? Maybe you could have one or two of them per candidate that are like layups, but the majority of them should be like questions that you would have to put some effort into answer. One such question being the question about Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio. Yeah, there was a very, very fast pipeline from the online, like basically from 4chan to the former president. It was only 2 days for the talking points about Haitian migrants supposedly like eating cats and dogs, none of which is real, by the way. You know, feel like I should just specify that for good measure. It only took 2 days for that pipeline to complete. The discourse started 2 days before the debate, and lo and behold, at the debate, Trump brought it up. The moderators fact-checked him instantly. They were like, just so you know, we have reporters there. We have debunked those claims. They're not real. And Trump responded with Well, I saw it on TV. They're talking about it on TV. Brilliant stuff. Truly brilliant stuff. He like legit tried to debate the fact checkers. We make it around this corner and then I will continue. This golden took me pretty far. So that was the bulk of the debate, was just Trump squirming. That's not to say Kamala Harris didn't have weak points. There's a caveat there, but I will first I'll go over some of the weak points that Kamala Harris had, because she did have some. First was like the ones that I guess that they're all ones that we could typically suspect: Gaza, the border, and healthcare. Right? On Gaza, she referred to the typical rhetoric about, oh, we're working tirelessly for a ceasefire, the kind of stuff that I would be intensely critical of the Democrats for not doing enough, and for being very, like, basically, like, nonchalant about the issue, and like, being very enabling of Israel, you know? She like proceeded to unprompted explain October 7th again, and then said like Israel has a right to defend itself or whatever, and then she was like, oh, but we should have a ceasefire or something like that. It was like, all right, great. Really not making any friends with that one. But that wasn't her only weak point. She also, when talking about healthcare, she indicated no degree of support for a public option of healthcare. Basically, the line there was still the same old, oh, the Affordable Care Act is good, which, I mean, it was an improvement. It was all right. But you know, the fact that it's still the only thing that we have is pretty bad. She wasn't really willing to commit to anything on that front. She constantly talked about small businesses and the middle class, going back to the regular Democratic shtick. It's as if the working class doesn't exist to them. And you know, small businesses are fucking cringe. And on some of the questions that were inconvenient for Kamala Harris, because there were a couple, she went on a more winding anecdotes. You could kind of tell when Kamala Harris had a bad answer or had no answer, because she dodged the question entirely and referred to some personal story that didn't mean anything. However, the debate was so bad for Trump. Trump's performance was so bad that he couldn't capitalize on those weak points. Those weak points didn't matter because Trump performed so poorly, and Harris had such shining moments elsewhere in the debate. Seriously, the degree to which Trump fumbled, blustered, you know, made the debate a 3 versus 1 where it wasn't necessary, reminded me, it was so bad on his part that it reminded me of Biden's performance in the debate a couple months ago. To such an extent that Harris's campaign said, we want to do another debate. Just like Trump's campaign after the Trump versus Biden debate said, we want to do another debate against Biden. I don't know how I avoided that. The whole affair, the whole debate could to me could accurately be summarized, could aptly be summarized as the moderators and Trump and Kamala Harris, excuse me, handing Trump a steady supply of shovels with which he dug himself a very large hole, and just kept digging. He never stopped digging, you know. I do really think that the Trump of old, that the Trump of 2015, 16, the Trump who was winning the Republican primary debates, that guy's gone. He's gone. I don't know if he was ever really there to begin with. I think people are gassing up Trump in a lot of ways. But regardless, he can't really cut it in a debate anymore. And I think that his candidacy has basically been put in the grave by this debate, and will be put in the grave by a future debate if they decide to have one. I'm gonna get past this turn, and then I'll keep going on what I was saying. I realize I've spoken positively a lot about Kamala Harris' performance in this debate, and I stand by all the stuff that I've said. I know, there are some people in my audience who might be tempted to freak out and call me a Democratic partisan. Uh, but that is not the case. The Democrats and Kamala Harris are still liberals. There are still no shortage of critiques that you could offer to the effect of like their vision for the United States or whatever. But what I will say from that debate, like what was clearly indicated, is that vision, however much we might take issue with it, it exists. And it is an affirmative vision. It is something that, like, yes, we will do X, Y, or Z. We will support X, Y, or Z thing, as opposed to we want to hurt A, B, or C group of people. Damn, that was a sick target shot. You know? Overall, like I said, I have critiques of the platform, but this debate is going to put wind in the sails of the Democratic coalition, and it's going to massively take the wind out of the sails of the Republican coalition. Online, the right wing has been severely deflated by this debate, by Trump's performance in this debate. It was bad. So that means, like, what does that mean? Let me rack my brain. Well, it means Kamala Harris is likely to win the election. That's what it means for somebody like me, like analyzing this. That just eliminates one concern from the bucket. The other concerns are still there. The Republicans are going to try to cheat, and if the Democrats win, if they get past the Republican efforts to cheat, or if, like, through some miracle of nature, they decide to actively put a stop to the Republican efforts to steal the election, like at the institutional level, then what we will see is a Democratic Party that is ultimately, the same as it ever was. They're still going to try to do the whole middle class liberalism shtick. They're going to try to not incorporate workers into the platform. They're going to basically try to be the Obama era Democratic Party that just wanted to do bipartisanship and capitulate to the right wing. But what we will also see is a Democratic Party that has to contend with an organized base of labor and a very strong cadre of workers' unions, trade unions. It's going to be more difficult for the Democrats to just be centrist than it has been in years past, in decades past. And that's good for us. And that's why we want the Democrats to win. Not because they are a good ally, but because they are a weak opposition. Oh, no. Yeah. Almost got hit. I need an item so bad. No. Tragic. I'll take 6, sure. So yeah, the debate was good. It was nice to see the right wing be, at least the far right, be on the back foot for once. So, you know, that was nice. It was good. Love that. Am I dropping frames again? God damn it. Say that again. The debate was good. The right wing, the far right was on the back foot for once. I like that. You know, for once, Democrats kind of went on the attack. And I think this opens the doors to some other opportunities for, you know, mostly for the left. You know, liberals are creaming themselves right now, but the left should take this as an opportunity to push the Democrats further, because a lot of the offensive rhetoric that the Democrats engaged in are things that the left has been saying for years. The stuff about Trump being a rapist, being a criminal, him, like, wanting to overthrow democracy, that was shit that the Democrats didn't want to say. Like, they were very hesitant to pick up that rhetoric. You know, basically anything negative about the Republicans outside of abortion, the Democrats were very hesitant to go full, like, you know, full on, you know, full frontal assault or whatever. It is only because of the left that this debate, like, ultimately was as much of a blowout for Democrats as it was, because the Democrats realize that they have to contend with an increasingly left-leaning and progressive base of support. You know? I got hit by something. Got his ass. Yo, what's up, 1v3? I tried to stream Minecraft once or twice. Like, I was dropping way too many frames, and it was just, eh. I decided to come back to Mario Kart. I think this is what's like the best thing for me to stream right now. And it's also, I think I prefer doing this because, like, I have an easier time commentating this than I do with Minecraft. Also, there is actually something that prompted me to return to this game. Just yesterday, I think, or like the day before, I uploaded the video segment about the German elections. The German regional elections in Thuringia, right? And I looked at the video stats every now and again, like, not every now and again, like shortly after I upload a video, I will usually check on the stats to see how that video is doing. And what had happened, right? That video had very quickly just became the most viewed video on my channel for some fucking reason. Well, not for some fucking reason. I know exactly why. So I put some tags about, like, it being German politics, about it being the AfD and stuff like that, and it being about the German elections and such. And the video like-dislike bar and the comments got flooded with Nazis. Like, the classic online Nazi troll account where it's just a name and then a bunch of numbers with a random PFP, or like the default, just one letter. And they were commenting all sorts of shit. I don't know what they commented because I didn't read them. But yeah, the Nazis found my video, they watched it, they dislike bombed it, which is great for me. And you know what? I did that shit on purpose. I knew as soon as I put the AFD tag, I saw the video as well, dropped the like, thank you. As soon as I put the AFD tag on the video, I was like, this video is liable to like get a lot of attention from the far right. If this video gets traction from anybody, it's going to get traction from the far right. So that's exactly what happened. And I think, like, I scrolled through real quick. I was like, man, how many comments are there? About, like, 2/3 of everybody that disliked the video left a comment. And that's also how I know that they're Nazis, because Nazis are such huge losers that they have nothing better to do than dislike bomb and comment bomb videos. And I saw, like, a couple words from the comment section of that video. And most of them revolved around, bro, why are you playing this children's game? Or some shit like that. I control F the word game, because I'm sometimes with stuff like that, I'm interested to see how many people are actually paying attention to the gameplay footage, or how many of them are like, ignoring it entirely. That's generally a good indication of who's a bot and who isn't, is that they won't even pay attention to the game. But the fact that they were so against the concept of me playing a game told me two things. First of all, Nazis. Nazis hate fun. You know, because their entire existence is mostly dictated by hating brown people and migrants and being trolls online. But then also, it told me that I should go back to and keep streaming Mario Kart Wii, because that's what's getting attention. Negative attention on YouTube, that's good for the channel. And in fact, like, they thought they did something by leaving a bunch of negative comments. Buddy, I have notifications for comments turned off. That doesn't do jack shit except help me in the algorithm. So thank you to all the Nazis that watched that video. And like I said, I didn't read any of the comments. There's something like, I don't know, 70 comments on that video? It's a lot. I'm sure they did it to try to, like, discourage me and whatever, because that's like what used to happen a lot. Nazis would go after, and still do to an extent, they would go after small left-leaning channels on YouTube. This has had, like, the opposite effect. I'm now, like, my conviction to stream Mario Kart Wii, like, my motivation actually got renewed by seeing that. I was like, yes! This is, like, that's what I'm talking about. I should stream more Mario Kart Wii and do more video segments of, like, good ideas that I have, and be more confident that, like, yes, this is a segment that I should upload to YouTube and whatever. You know? But yeah, apart from that, it was also strange to see that there wasn't any, like, geographic data on the people that watched the video. Like, it sometimes for videos, it'll tell you what country people are from. But that data didn't show up on that video for some reason. I don't know if that's like a VPN thing or a bot traffic thing. I don't know. A Dutch guy reacted with a name called Holy Otter. What a homie. Commented. Oh, cool. Like I said, I didn't read the comments. So if there is a positive comment down there, I missed it because, you know, I just skipped the comments entirely. But I saw that, like, there were some people that watched the video and liked it. And of course, I don't need the affirmation of, like, a broad audience or whatever. I don't need the affirmation of, like, the Nazis in the audience, because I know I'm correct. No amount of dislikes on the dislike bar can convince me that I'm not. But, you know, it's nice that there was somebody that watched that video and got something positive out of it. You know? And, by the way, I could turn this into advice for other people who are trying to stream and do YouTube. Turn off the notifications for comments. Seriously. Any ideas that you want to have for your channel, if you want your channel to grow, comments are not the place to look for it. Your own head is where you should be getting your ideas, because that's the best way to have a coherent vision for your channel. And it's going to save you a lot of trouble if you just turn off notifications for the YouTube comments. Don't pay attention to them. You're likely to get a lot of, like, dust kicked up, basically. It's a whole maelstrom down there. But that was cool. Initially, I was like, oh, shit. But then I was like, haha. They mostly just talk saying you should mind your own business and that you're playing a kid's game. Yeah, that's kind of what I got scrolling through it. They're all basically the same person. And that's exactly what reaffirmed, like, okay, I should keep playing the kids game. Because, you know, that's what people like to see. And of course, none of these people would watch me if I actually listened to them anyways. That's the point of them commenting, is they want my channel to die. But I don't, so, you know. And of course, the fact that they objected to me playing a kid's game, the fact that their objection was like, oh wow, you're playing a kid's game and have political opinions. Brother, that describes like 75% of the population of this planet. You know? %75 might be an exaggeration, but, you know, it's a lot of people. The implied alternative position from that is just, don't say anything, shut up, stop playing video games, stop having fun. And I was like, that is exactly the indication that I need, that I should keep talking, keep playing video games, and keep having fun. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. None of this is going to be a segment. I don't want them to get any more satisfaction out of my attention. Because as much as they are like saying that I don't deserve the attention, they're trying to get my attention. And I don't want to give them any more airtime than they deserve. Yeah, can a man have fun while talking facts? Come on. In fact, I've already given them more airtime than they deserve. So, you know, what was intended to be a souring of my day only made it better. And so now I'm back to Mario Kart Wii. I'm still having a little bit of internet trouble. I might need to call a guy from like Verizon to ask about that. You know, having a lot of frame drops and whatnot. Even though I tested my connection, it should be good. Yeah. Anyways, there is going to be a segment coming from this stream. In addition to the thing that I already posted on YouTube. I specifically, like, gave you guys a preview for that thumbnail because I was so fucking proud of it. They said, you and your Twitch chat are quite funny. The Dutch guy? That's great. I love to hear that. Oh, jeez. That guy got hit by something. Nah, some Nazi? Amateur chat, quite funny, gave him a good laugh. Oh, okay. Well, hey, they're welcome to come in Twitch chat if they want. You know, it's, I know it's lonely over there on YouTube because you can't really talk in real time, but, you know, if they want to come here and experience the funny shit for themselves, come on in. I might mute you. Oh, the Dutch guy just said Mario Kart is actually a fun game. Oh, okay. Yeah, I invite any Nazis who watch my shit on YouTube to, like, come here. They will never see that because they only watch me on YouTube and not on Twitch. And they know that I have much more direct and real-time moderation power over my Twitch channel than I do with my YouTube channel. And I also care more about moderating the Twitch chat than the YouTube comment section. So, you know. Let them have their little corner. Let them wear their little dunce caps and whatnot. Anyways. But yeah, the fact that I predicted that and would like leaned into it harder made me feel so fucking smart. 1.3K is crazy. It's gonna stay there too. I hope you realize that. It's gonna stay at 1.3K or something like that. Unless it gets another couple hundred in the next few days, it's likely gonna stay in the range of 1,000 to 1,500. Because the thing about, like, when Nazis brigade comment sections, they find as many of their homies as they can, and they create as many alt accounts as they can. They do it all at once to give the impression that there's more of them than there really are. You know? Also, I looked at the average watch time for that segment. That segment's like 20 minutes long. The average watch time was like 3 minutes. You know? Which is to be expected, you know, obviously with YouTube videos, people aren't going to watch the whole video always. But, you know, another bit of reaffirming information to know that they didn't care enough to watch the whole video. So, like, you know, I don't got to care what they say. on that grounds either. Because there have been, like, people who aren't Nazis who posted negative comments, and then I look at the average watch time or something, and it's like, you didn't watch the whole fucking video. Yeah, nobody's surprised about that one. Anyways. I actually, okay. I want to talk a bit about the video that I just did. The thumbnail that I just did. Because that shit was divinely inspired. This was a rare instance where the video, the video I uploaded today finished processing at exactly the same time as I was, like, about to go live on Twitch. So I was like, you know what, I'll just post them both at the same time. Like, I'll post the links both at the same time in the Discord and whatever. But you got the thumbnail early because I had the idea for that thumbnail in the shower this morning. And everybody knows that those fucking shower thoughts hit different, you know? Like, in the shower is when I am, like, the fucking smartest human being on the face of this planet, right? There's, like, some fucking clairvoyance cheat that happens in the shower. And I was like, oh my god, I know exactly what I want to do for this. I'm gonna have myself at, like, a restaurant setting or whatever. Like, I'm gonna have myself at the dinner table, and then the waiter is gonna be Destiny, and he's gonna be presenting me with Dennis Prager's head. That's, like, the meal, and then I'm gonna say, like, yay. You know? And so fucking, that's how you get, like, Destiny, the waitstaff, bringing me the Dennis Prager's head on a platter, and he's like, your food, sir, and I just say, splendid. And I felt really smart for doing this, too. I was like, okay, I don't want this to seem like it's totally in a vacuum. Usually I like to tie the video to the gameplay as well. So I was like, what background can I use that is relevant to Mario Kart? And I was like, I know. I'll go through and look at some of the tracks I played and just find an image of one of the tracks and put that in the background. So I found an image of Mario Raceway, blurred it a bit, you know, put it through a blurring filter, and then had that be the background for the thumbnail. So it's like I'm at Mario Raceway, sitting down at the dinner table, reviewing this debate. It's like, fantastic. That's the thumbnail. Post that shit. There's no doubting it. Some aliens put some virus in our water, making us big brain in the shower. 100% true. %100% true. Let me write something real quick, and I can get to the next thing I wanted to talk about. Today's the 12th, right? Yeah. Okay, sick. I can delete all that stuff. Oh, that clears things up so much. Alright, nice. Oh, nice. This people are picking this track today, huh? I really like this interpretation of It's annoying when you get a lot of big brain ideas, but you get stressed if you're not fast enough, you'll forget them. That's something. That's something that I've had to contend with sometimes. And unfortunately, most of the time, what happens is I have to go about my day. I have to do other stuff too, and I just end up forgetting them. And it's like, well, dang it. You know, I know I had a good idea, but now it's kind of like slipping away. You know, that happens. But sometimes you remember them, and that's a fucking great feeling. Ow. That's kind of how I have to approach editing my non-politics segments, too. When it comes to politics, I can think really fast, right? But, like, outside of politics, when I'm thinking of, like, video ideas that are more just like a YouTube shit post or something that's like a montage of me playing the game, have a shock dodge, Koopa Troopa. I think he's on the baby booster, so. And stuff like that, it takes a lot longer for me to consistently, like, flesh out those ideas and shit like that. That's why despite having recorded the video, the stream for this back in July, I still have not uploaded or finished the video about me driving on the Mini Beast yet. Like, that shit takes time for me to, like, parse through and be like, okay, is there anything, like, what do I think would be funny in this video? Like, what's the stuff that happened that was really funny that I really want to highlight, you know? It takes time, and sometimes it gets tedious, and by that point, the humor factor is kind of lost in a way, you know? That could be a skill issue, and I'm sure to some degree it is. But, you know. Alright. Let's start using this. Ooh, nice. I don't know how to pronounce that. Let me look at this. Arozarena. Arozarena Enjoyer. I think I got that right. Thank you very much for the follow. And welcome to chat, too. Alright. Oh, yeah, I also, because the last stream didn't go so well, I, like, dropped a shit ton of frames. If you want better internet, you could hardwire the Wii. That's not an issue. That's not the issue, I assure you. I'm on a wired connection with my capture card. The issue is my capture card right now, and my internet connection between my computer and Twitch. And that's because there's construction going on outside, and they've had to sort of mess with the cabling that we have for internet. Yeah, normally, if you look at some of my other streams that happened, like, let's see, I want to say before last week. Like, if you go to my YouTube channel and you see some of the videos that I upload from there, usually I'm able to keep a consistent 6,000 kilobits per second bit rate with, like, no frame drops. I've gone entire, like, 3+ hour streams with 6,000 kilobits per second and 0 frames dropped. But because there's construction going on outside, I'm getting some frame drops and some lag. Once that's done, though, in fact, I think I heard from a little bird that the construction company is supposed to be done by the end of the weekend, which is exciting because it means we're going to have a retaining wall that isn't fucking falling apart at the seams. Once they're done with that, I should be back to, like, having good internet. And if that doesn't happen, then that would be cause to, like, get a internet technician to come to the house and look at that. And even so, I think I might want to ask, or even call, like, Verizon myself to ask, like, hey, you know, is this normal? Like, the internet issues that we're experiencing. Although, I don't know. I don't want to jump the gun on asking that. I don't want to ask, like, too soon. We'll see. Anyways, I'm having less internet issues today than I was yesterday, which is nice. But unfortunately, it means that I can't do the funny haha bit where I talk about 9/11 on 9/11, right? You know, everybody posts about it on social media when that day comes every year. Because of the terror attacks, obviously. And I have some spicy thoughts on it that I think people need to hear. Because, that, like, 9/11 was a very influential event for the politics of the past 15 to 20 years. Like, the politics after 2001 were heavily influenced by the events of 9/11 and the sort of reactionary political attitudes that came out of it. And I want to sort of talk about it. I want to talk about it in a different light than most Americans would probably be used to. First of all, I love to see that people are just comfortable joking about 9/11, as they should be, because it, like, it's a historical tragedy, sure, but, like, every other historical tragedy has had and deserves to have jokes made about it, because that's kind of how we live as humans. We make jokes about tragic events and shit like that, you know, because you know, you don't want to focus on the fucking trauma of it all the time. That's how you develop some shit like untreated PTSD and like let it ruin your life. You have to be able to make light of certain situations. That's from a philosophical point of view at a like personal level. Yeah, hey, happy 9/11 everyone. Exactly. I'm not American, so I don't care. And you shouldn't care if you are American either. Like, on one level, you should care about the implications of an event like 9/11 and its political consequences. But the thing is, right? And I know there are some people that really don't want to hear this. 9/11 was not special. Hell, it wasn't even the biggest terror attack of the 20th century. It wasn't like there were buildings being blown up day in and day out, like every month in the early 20th century during like the suffragette movement. You know, there were domestic terror attacks happening in the 80s and 90s. Those didn't prompt a full-scale reactionary political nightmare. 9/11 was very spectacular, and that's probably why it did that. But ultimately, I know some people are like, this is an extremely defining moment in American history, but I think that, you know, despite the correct argument that, yeah, it is a defining moment, people frequently engage in a bit of mysticism where they assume that there was something special about 9/11. It was not. Like, there wasn't. 9/11 was a pretty unexceptional terrorist attack. It was a big terrorist attack, you know, killed a few thousand people. You know, like, that's a lot. But it's just that. A terror attack. That shit happens. You know? Especially when the United States is creating conditions abroad and at home or wherever. Especially when there are sets of conditions that arise where it's basically inevitable that terrorism happens. It's a political phenomenon that, I don't know, I guess people in America sort of thought they were immune to, despite experiencing it all the time for some reason. I don't know, maybe that was the narrative, or something like that. Ultimately, you know, the thing I want to say, I guess I've been struggling to say in so many words, I think America needs to get over itself and forget about 9/11. You know, people say 9/11, never forget. Nah, forget that shit. Leave it in the past. You know, that's where it belongs, in the dustbin of history. Just like the Watergate scandal. Just like fucking, I don't know, a lot of the political movements in the 20th century and whatever. Like, dwelling on that shit does nothing for anybody except for, I don't know, justify weirdo conservative narratives about national security and stuff like that. It's still useful for some political groups to focus on it. It forced stricter security at airports, but that should have been it. Buddy, stricter security at airports was not the issue in 9/11. The thing that caused 9/11 was the refusal of U.S. intelligence agencies to communicate with each other. Fundamentally, it was just administrative incompetence on the U.S.'s part. The systems, if the systems that currently existed in the year 2000 and 2001 were functioning as they should have at peak efficiency, 9/11 wouldn't have happened. The fact is that people are just fucking stupid, and things fall through the cracks sometimes. You know? And, you know, obviously if the U.S. didn't give one octillion quadrillion dollars to Al Qaeda and the Mujahideen in the Middle East, you know, that would have probably helped. You know, the stricter airport security, all that did was make people more comfortable with an authoritarian state, and that's really bad because that airport security did not need to be stricter. No, you hate to see it. Oh, I feel so bad for that guy. He got robbed. What I mean is that all liquid is banned in airports. Yeah, and that's fucking cringe. Excuse me, sir. Liquids are banned from the airport. I'm going to have to extract all the cum from your balls and all the piss from your fucking bladder. Also, we have contacted a professional vampire. They will be draining your blood. Also, thank you. Not all of them. No, all of them. All liquids. Even the jet fuel. Sorry, I had to. It was too easy of a joke to make, Your Honor. I didn't mean it. That's a lie. I did mean it. It was funny. That's why I did it. But yeah. I don't know. It's always really cringe to like to just witness people making a huge deal out of 9/11 23 years after it happened. It's like, dog, get over it. It was 23 years ago. Canadian history, we're still learning about that plane from Toronto to India that got bombed mid-flight. I didn't know shit about that. I didn't know that was a thing. But the other thing I wanted to mention on the subject of 9/11 having recently passed, like the anniversary of it, well, it was well, two things. First, Joe Biden said, tomorrow I'm doing 9/11 on September 10th, which was extremely funny. Thank you, Joe Biden, for reminding us of the attitude that we as Americans should have. That's my president. In 1985? Okay. Other thing I wanted to talk about was, did you guys know there was actually another 9/11? Chat room regulars, people who are regulars in my Twitch stream will know what I'm about to talk about. I think Joe Biden is trolling at this point. If he is or isn't, I don't know, but it's way funnier if he is, so I choose to believe that he is. I can't blame him. Neither can I. If I were the president, I'd be trolling all the fucking time. At least 3 genders. I'm Irish in response to the BBC, and then now tomorrow I'm gonna do 9/11. 9/11 is a significant event, so our grandchildren will be learning about that in COVID. I think the only correct interpretation of 9/11, the only correct way to remember it in history is to talk about it in terms of the political fallout that happened afterwards, rather than the terror attack itself. COVID wasn't that hard. COVID was really bad for America. America fared... It's going to be so over-exaggerated. No, COVID was a once-in-a-lifetime pandemic. In fact, COVID resulted in more than, I think, 1 million deaths in America. That's about it's like 0.3% of America's population. For a developed country, that's actually disastrous. And so I think that does deserve to be talked about as a political event, because it had massive political implications outside of just the people it killed and the people whose lives it irrevocably changed on a physiological level. Remember, long COVID is a thing. Even if people don't die, there's the potential that they get permanently fucked up on the inside because of COVID. But I think 9/11 deserves to be talked about just as a sort of, like, a MacGuffin that basically led to a lot of really bad political fallout afterwards. Like, the Iraq War is more relevant. The Iraq War, the Patriot Act, all the shit that happened after 9/11 is way, way more historically pressing to talk about than 9/11 itself. 9/11, like I said, it was just a terror attack. It was a big one, killed 3,000 people, but it was just a terror attack. 2020 deserves a live-action movie? True. Honestly, yeah, I think that there are a lot of movies that have the sort of the COVID pandemic written into the subtext, and a lot of those movies are actually really good. But I think COVID hasn't been talked about enough directly in media. Biden falling on the stairs of a plane is the best moment in American history. That's so real. Yeah, Joe Biden falling falling up the stairs. He was like ascending the stairs and fell a little bit. But sorry, I got sidetracked. There's actually, if you can believe it, there's more than one 9/11 in history. And chat regulars will know what I'm about to talk about. In 38 years before September 11th, 2001, was September 11th, 1973. That is, in fact, how math works. If you subtract 38 from 2001, you get 1973. No, wait, fuck, I'm stupid. 28. I am the best at math. No leftist can even come close. Subtract 28 years from 2001, you get 1973, right? On September 11th, 1973, there was also a set of terror attacks, but not in the U.S. The terror attacks that happened on September 11th, 1973, were at the behest of the United States against the country of Chile. You see, recently there was a democratic socialist who had won the presidential election with the support of the Christian Democratic Party. Chile had a like coalition government system, much like you would see in Europe. They were a pretty well developed country even at the time, relative to their neighbors, I suppose. And Salvador Allende won the election, and he had a very left leaning platform, right? And so a lot of people in Chile, I guess, were pretty happy with that. But the United States didn't like that. We were on our shit back in the day. We were on our conduct coups in every single Latin American country grind. Our Sigma grind set. So the CIA worked with dissident elements of the Chilean military, including one General Augusto Pinochet, to literally invade the Chilean capital, first off, and to try to force Allende out of office, and like arrest him, put him on trial. The whole shtick that happens after a military coup d'etat, right? Like, you guys know the drill. This attack bombed civilian buildings, residential buildings. It bombed various areas in the capital, and Allende ended up taking his own life. And as a result, Chile endured decades of dictatorship at the hands of Augusto Pinochet and the military junta, which set Chile's development back a lot because they were entering like really slanted business deals with America. It resulted in the disappearing of political dissidents, the whole helicopters bit, Pinochet throwing political dissidents out of helicopters. About 40,000 people were captured and tortured by the regime over that period. It was not good. And that was all fallout from a like military intelligence campaign to oust a democratic leader. And it went down in infamy in Chilean history. And I think it deserves a spot of infamy in America's own history books, because it's a stain against America's image as like a supposed like beacon of democracy and whatnot, right? Not in the sense that I'm a tanky and I think America is uniquely evil or whatever, but just in the sense that, like, let's not do that. When we think about what do we want for America, not that. We want to befriend democratic countries wherever they are, in order to sort of solidify democratic norms and institutions as much as possible, to basically pave the way for even more democracy. Democracy in the economy even, But at the time, America was very militantly anti-socialist, and it was like, there's Kissinger particles in the air and shit like that. But even in the case of the Chilean 9/11, like the Chilean 9/11 was much worse than the American 9/11. But even still, the majority of the really bad shit happened in the aftermath. I'm already planning on what I'm going to tell my grandchildren about 2020 when they're learning about it for their test in 60 years. Nice. It'd be like, I've been waiting my whole fucking life for this. When little Joey asks like, Granddad Xylan MK, what was 2020 like? They said there was a pandemic. What does that mean? Like, well, me boy, let me tell you a tale. I don't know. Getting into my best grizzled war veteran voice or whatever. Gave me an idea. I shudder at the thought almost, but let's hear it. No! I thought I could be cheeky and go for the box, but I couldn't. I was wrong. Alright, give me... I'm just gonna use this. I don't think I had... those Great Depression stories, how the grandparents were like, everyone was broke and no one had any money? Like that weird account? That's gonna be me. Well, that was true for the Great Depression. Everybody was broke. Nobody had any money except for the owning class. That's why the New Deal was necessary. The reason that the New Deal and a lot of social democracies in the early to mid 20th centuries were established was because poverty was so extreme that class consciousness rose as a natural consequence of that. Despite the like intensifying efforts at manufacturing consent, people were so poor that they were getting desperate enough to revolt all on their own. And the institutions of social democracy were supposed to basically quell those revolutionary sentiments, and that's what they did. But they also raised the standard of living, and I think for that they should be commended. You know, the Great Depression was as bad as it sounds. And I can offer like actual, somewhat of an anecdotal experience to this. My grandmother was born in the year 1931. And even though her family was not poor, right? They were not destitute, but things were bad. Things were really bad. She's told me some horror stories about when she was a little girl growing up in I believe Detroit, or actually I don't remember if it was Detroit or somewhere else. She lived. Her family was like Greek American immigrants who mostly lived in the Rust Belt. You know, and like even though a lot of the shit that people say about the Great Depression sounds like exaggerations, I assure you it's not. Things were really, really desperate during the Great Depression. If it weren't for social democracy, that would have been the end of capitalism. I'm just fucking going, my dad couldn't touch me with a 10-foot pole for 18 months because he was scared of the super flu. Yes, you should do that. Critical support for information when it's funny. Give me this box. Yes. Haha! Mushrooms. In before blue shell? If he has a red, I'm probably screwed. Okay. Ah, got him. That was just to put some space between me and him. I'm laying traps back now, but those aren't specifically meant for that guy. That's just to put some distance between first and second. First being me, and then I'm probably gonna hold on to these bananas as much as I can. I'll put one here. Put one here. There we go. I'll just hold this since, yeah. All right, cool. Nice. That was I think that's the best race I've had so far today. Not telling them about virus-related stuff. I'm just fucking teaching them about all the conspiracy theorists, and specifically this one guy who spammed copy-paste comments on every single COVID video in 2021. That's actually really funny. The fact that there were some people just copy-pasting YouTube comments. That was entirely, I'm not listening to the government. I wonder if that guy's dead out of curiosity. You know? That's really funny. Um, Try to find his house, but it turns out he was living under a rock. True! Patrick Starr? Is that you? It might be. Yep, dropping a few frames. Dropping a few more frames. And looks like we're almost back. Okay, no, dropping more frames. Thank you. Great. What is going on? I was not dropping this many frames earlier. Uh, this is quite confusing. Some of my friends want to go bowling right now, so I'm gonna get ready in a few minutes. Have fun. I love bowling. All right, we're back. We're back. All right. There was one more thing that I wanted to talk about. It actually does pertain to something that was brought up in the presidential debate, but I didn't get the chance to talk about it because it was brought up so quickly. God, the disinformation pipeline is so fast because it's so like astroturfed and shit like that. But if you watch the debate, you will have heard, or if you have a presence in online politics, you will probably have heard talking points about Haitians eating dogs and cats. Uh, as insane as it sounds and as insane as it is, these talking points are not new. These they're just really really racist. 1v3. I talked about the debate earlier, so that's going to be a segment. Stay tuned for that. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but I want to talk about one specific thing that happened to be included in the debate, the presidential debate. There was a racist set of talking points and conspiracy theories about Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio. Springfield did recently encounter or like incur a very large influx of Haitian migrants, which has been a huge boost to their economy, but it is made the white racists there very upsetty spaghetti. So they started the rumor that people were like, Haitians were like eating dogs and cats. You know? I'll go now, see ya. Have a good one. And so this sort of rhetoric, initially it was like, okay, yeah, nothing new, but it was like initially odd that it was a step up from what we had heard before. This is not the first time that mass hysteria has been provoked against Haitians specifically, and the historical context of it makes it very clear what the intent is for something like this. You see, in the 1980s and 90s, there was a wave of political instability in Haiti. I know, big shocker. You know, Haiti is just terminally politically unstable, mostly because of Western countries that, you know, fucking hate it. And that has resulted in various waves also of Haitian immigration to the United States. People making the difficult decision to flee from their home country to come to America in search of a better life. And in the 1990s, there was a whole right-wing media campaign on, I believe, Fox News at the time, if they were around back then, during the Bush Senior administration, about the supposedly, they called them the boat people. And a lot of Haitian migrants were subject to similar treatment that migrants coming to Europe are treated to today, where the like immigration police, the border police, would let their boats capsize and let them drown at sea. In some particularly nasty incidents, Border Patrol in the United States actually shot at Haitian migrant boats. And when I say boats, I'm being generous. These were like, you know, small boats and like Zodiac rafts, you know? It like is a Zodiac inflatable thing. And it was a very ugly episode for U.S. immigration, and unfortunately, American immigration policy has only become more reactionary since then, as have the talking points. Now, the Haitians eat dogs and cats thing was a thing back then as well, because of the racist implications of they are dirty, uncivilized savages, and because of the invocation of a pagan religion such as voodoo. Even though Haitians are like actually very Catholic as well. Nowadays, the rhetoric has kind of reemerged about Haitians eating dogs and cats, about eating household pets. And the only thing that this can really lead to is violence against Haitian immigrants, particularly a pogrom. pogrom being a slaughter of like an ethnic or religious group. A lot of these claims are very reminiscent of blood libel that Nazis engaged in the 30s, and that Jews have been subjected to throughout history from a variety of anti-Semitic political trends and movements. But it's also a sort of mirroring of how they were treated in the 1990s, right before there were a lot of Haitian migrants killed. You know, it's like step one, ramp up the dehumanization rhetoric. Step two, you've primed people to accept that XYZ group of people is subhuman. Step three, that paves the way to kill said group of people, because people will be fine with it, because like, oh, they're not human. That's what this is. And J.D. Vance was actually part of this discourse, like pretty early on too. That's probably how it got to Trump so quick, because J.D. Vance is a terminally online far righter. You know, he even admitted, I believe, on Twitter that he doesn't care whether or not it's true. He phrased it in such a way like, "Oh, don't worry about the biased media fact checkers or whatever." But functionally, the sentiment was, don't worry about whether or not it's true. It's spiritually true, so keep up the good work. Keep posting the memes about Haitians eating dogs and cats and stuff. You know? So this is a pretty ugly episode of anti-immigrant rhetoric. But it's not necessarily new. You know, we've seen it before, unfortunately. We'll see it again. This is not the last time we'll see it. And this is all the Republican Party has to offer anymore. They have traded their affirmative policy positions for this shit. But I guess that's kind of all I can think to really say about the matter in that instance. Let me check something real quick. Yeah. I might be experiencing some audio lag issues on the Twitch stream. We'll have to see. This is the true test right here. Yeah. Okay, just confirmed. There's a significant amount of audio lag on Twitch. I guess that's what dropping frames will do to you. I apologize for the dip in quality this stream, but you know, I guess that's what shit internet does to a motherfucker. Like I said, the source of all this trouble is likely the construction that's going on right now, and that's effectively to prevent a landslide from happening behind our house. And that should be done by the time this weekend is over. So, but like by next week, the issues with there being a lot of audio lag should be pretty much fixed. And the issues with me dropping frames as well. Like, the stream usually is not like this. And it's probably, if I know my viewer base, right? If I know the people who watch me on Twitch, it's probably way more bothersome to me than it is to you guys. You know? Because I actually know, well, first of all, I know that there are a lot of people that listen to me for the things I have to say, and it's, you know, not really that big of a gap to bridge, but I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. And I also know that I've watched some live stream content where there's like an audio delay or whatever, and you get used to it after a little bit. You know, like, it's fine for the most part. like TWD98 streams back in the day, And when I say back in the day, I don't mean 2018, I mean 2012. Alright. Holding this for dear life because I know somebody behind me probably has a red shell. And alright, I'm good. Nice. I wonder if there's a recalibration feature on OBS. What? Nothing that I can immediately see, so. What else was even going on? Oh, yeah. In triumph for Mexico's outgoing president, lawmakers finalized courts overhaul. You guys might like this story. Everybody who is based in Democracy Pill will probably really like this story. Reporting is coming from Reuters here, but AMLO's party, the Mexican, I guess, Socialist Party, just passed a big package of judicial reforms. Now, Reuters frames them as controversial. We'll read some of the Reuters article, but I think they're pretty good. We'll get to that in a sec. Mexico's Senate early Wednesday, on September 11th, approved a sweeping judicial reform that will overhaul the country's judiciary by electing judges by popular vote. A profound transformation that critics fear could threaten the rule of law and damage the economy. You'll notice they did not mention the integrity of any democratic institutions there, so that means that these critics are conservatives who like the fact that judges are unelected, you know. I think this is really good, because it's one of those things where even though people are fucking stupid, that doesn't make dictatorship and like undemocratic rule any better, really, because with more undemocratic methods of selecting certain politicians and officials and whatnot, you increase the risk of cultivating corruption, cultivating, well, stupidity and incompetence that you otherwise would have a very diffused risk of if it were delegated to as many hands as possible, right? It's the reason that, like, even if you have a technocratic government where the objective is just to have experts in charge, that's still going to be less efficient and foster worse outcomes than if you had a democracy. And it's not like this is an unknown quantity as well. In the United States, there are jurisdictions where judges are elected by popular vote. For example, a lot of states have Supreme Courts of their own. You know, there's the U.S. Supreme Court, like the big Grand Poobah Court. But then state Supreme Courts often will have judges elected by popular vote. Local judges also elected by popular vote, and things of that nature. So I think this is just a W for democracy, really. And it also decentralizes the power in the judiciary such that, like, if there are concerns about corruption with the cartels and whatnot, this is going to be decently effective at sort of diffusing and curtailing the influence of the cartels, at least to an extent, in the Mexican government. Obviously, the cartels are a really fucking big problem down there. But, you know, I think this is pretty cool. Anyway, let's continue reading. The reform marks a major win for outgoing leftist President AMLO in his final month in office. In a marathon session that had to be paused and relocated as protesters broke into the Senate building, the ruling Morena party and allies clinched the final two-thirds supermajority vote needed to approve the reform, which has prompted protests, a strike by judicial workers, and market volatility. See, this is how you can tell this. It's like just the right wing opposing this, is that the kinds of people who are upset about this are the market, the people who own all the stocks, right? And, you know, judicial employees also, sometimes they tend to be more conservative. It's also possible this poses a direct threat to the stability of their job, because with an election, there comes a political administration. Like in the United States, when somebody's elected, they have like staffers that they bring with them. Usually, employees in the government for elected positions, like if you're working under somebody who's an elected politician, you tend to swap out each time a new election happens, right? Whereas with appointed positions, you can be employed there for much longer. So, like, for example, we don't really elect a lot of people in the National Park Service, but the National Park Service is a part of the federal government. So people can work in the National Park Service for a long fucking time. But for presidential administrations, like in the White House, elections happen every 4 years. So usually what will happen is every 4 years, every 8 years, usually a lot of people get fired, a lot of people get hired, you know? People rarely work in DC for somebody beyond a couple of electoral cycles, you know? So that's probably why the judicial workers are upsetty spaghetti about this. And we know why the stock market is upsetty spaghetti about this, is because it is a pretty large change, and businesses hate big change. Unless it favors them. Unless it explicitly favors them in such a way that their bottom line is likely to massively increase. Oh, he knows the strats. Let's go. Bookie. I meant to throw that forward. I kind of brain farted. No. Give me an item. Okay. I should have thrown that. He snuck in front of me. Ow. Well, I at least hit the guy with the blue shell, so. But I am likely to get a bad position now. RIP. Unfortunate. Alright, let's go to the next one. Senators voted 86 to 41 in favor as the ruling bloc cheered and applauded. Nice. Mexico's incoming president, Claudia Sheinbaum, also celebrated the approval on social media, congratulating lawmakers on an overhaul that she argues fulfills the popular will. The regime of corruption and privileges is becoming a thing of the past, and a true democracy and the rule of law are being built, she wrote on a post on Twitter. Based alert? Democracy enjoyer alert? Random. There we go. Hence, legislative debate and high political drama preceded this approval. And by the way, Reuters is trying to make this very controversial, where it really isn't. I mean, the right really doesn't like it, but this was popular enough to pass with a 2/3 supermajority. You know, it's like they're trying to make this seem like this embattled thing that barely got passed, but it got passed with a supermajority, which means 2/3 of the government wanted this. And 2/3 probably of the population, if that holds, right? Like the elections in Mexico happened not that long ago, and Morena, the party that favors this, won in a blowout. They ran on this. This was part of their platform. People voted for them on the promise of this happening. So don't let American media trick you into thinking that people don't want good things, because a lot of times they do. You know, this is one of those stories, actually, that I think it's not really meant for international eyes. It's meant for Americans. Like, this is meant to be read by an American and to come away with the conclusion that, oh, that must mean this is, like, bad or controversial or something. Probably won't be back on stream. See ya. See ya. Have a good time at the supermarket. So, you know, the left can't stop winning, it seems, whenever they have a taste of power. Ow. Just kidding. That's all part of my plan to be in a back spot to get a mushroom so I can do the gap jump. Big brain. No, you're not supposed to hold down there. Or to hold, like, forward. Alright. Give me a box here. Not what I wanted to see, but you know what? That's actually okay. Because I can use this here. Dodge me! Maybe. Possibly. What's up, Koopa? I'm gonna use this here. Oh, no, did I hit him? I hit him, didn't I? That's unfortunate. I really don't. I usually, like, whenever I'm in a star, I usually don't actually want to hit people if I don't have to, you know? Because I know they're gonna be... I was close. Because I know they're gonna be there like, no, why did this guy hit me? Especially Koopa Troopa on the Magic Cruiser. I don't want to fucking hit that guy. He's having a rough enough time as it is. Next race. The backbone of this constitutional reform, which the lower house approved last week, calls for the first ever election by popular vote of more than 6,500 judges and magistrates, including the Supreme Court. Based in the Americas, only Bolivia has a similar system. Of course, the other based as fuck country in Latin America has a system like this. That's awesome. Also reduces the number of Supreme Court judges to 9 from 11. Interesting. Taking a page out of America's book, having 9 judges? Cuts back the length of the term to 12 years, abolishes a minimum age requirement of 35, and halves the necessary work experience to 5 years. That's actually really, really based. And I'll explain why, too. This could potentially get into the proceduralism of a constitutional system or whatever, with judges and whatnot. But the shorter terms, popular vote elections and like lowered requirements for Supreme Court judges is a really good thing. Guys, it is not difficult to find people who are good at the law. In fact, there are people who have really good legal experience that don't meet a lot of the requirements to be a Supreme Court judge. And what I think is the most important is that this encourages the Constitution to change on occasion. This like encourages a non-static environment. See, the U.S. is shitting a brick over this because this is unlike the system that we have, where the Constitution is basically set in stone at this point. Could you fucking imagine a constitutional amendment being passed in America? No, and that's because the Constitution is a dead document. It is just yet to be buried or resuscitated, you know? But in Mexico, I guess they really want to have a like purposefully concerted effort to have their constitution be a living and breathing document. That's how you do that. You regularly, at least in a historical sense, you regularly introduce new blood into the political system in the judiciary, and you make them more accountable to the public that they serve, right? You know, as much as elections obviously have flaws for determining who should be in what political position, whatever, of course, I'm not going to argue that democracy is flawless. It avoids a lot of the problems that would otherwise happen by technocratic appointment or by, like, bureaucratic appointment. For example, in the United States, judges are undemocratically appointed and they rule for life. Picture the kind of consequences that could have if we just kept maintaining that. I mean, in the US, we don't really have to picture it. We already know those consequences firsthand, you know? But imagine if there was some recourse where if the court passed something that was so wildly unpopular, they could actually be held to account for it. The reform has also spooked markets. Honestly, it's like a pretty good indication. Like I said before, and I will say again, it's a pretty good indication that this reform is good, just judging by the people that it upsets. The wealthy and conservatives. If those two people are upset about a given reform, that reform is likely pretty good. But regardless, I've run to the end of my list here, the end of my list of stuff, and my internet is still being a little bit choppy, and as far as I know, the lag on stream is still persisting. So I think I'm gonna say that this is gonna be my last race, and then I will end the stream there. First, let me check this. Actually, the lag seems to have fixed itself. I don't know if I've ever seen that happen. And that's pretty cool, gotta say, but you know, it's nice. Also, no, you know what I think is happening? I think that when the frame drops happen, there's some video lag. And then that just causes, because the audio doesn't lag as much, because it's not as intensive on my capture card and my internet connection. So the video of me is behind the audio of me talking sometimes, but it'll catch up. All right. I figured it out. I figured out what's going on. And in that case, yeah, it should be fixed once the construction is done. But either way, great start to the race, of course. I wouldn't have it any other way. Gain time on these turns here. This is why Mach Bike is better than Flame Runner on custom tracks. A star. Most interesting. What did this guy get? He got a bullet. Okay. I'm chaining this. Go, 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 go. Use the shock. Yes! Thank you. Also, if anybody's watching who's in the room, don't feel pressed to, like, use the shock on my behalf. Even though I'm screaming that, I'm doing that from the perspective of, like, I'm just trying to manifest it in the context of the other person not knowing, like, not directly knowing what's going on my screen, you know? So even though I say use the shock, if you're in chat and also in the room, don't feel the need to use the shock for me, alright? Like, you know. All's fair in this game. All's fair in Love and War. All's fair in Mario Kart as well, you know? Need some of these. Thank you. That mushroom is, in some ways, could be seen as a little bit of a trap, but I'll take it either way. I'm just gonna use this here. I think that was a pretty good use of it. Oh, right. This is only 2 laps, huh? Excuse me, Waluigi. Don't mind if I do. I'm just gonna outline you real quick. Sorry. Oh, no! I didn't mean to do that! I just wanted to outline him. I didn't mean to hit him with the green shell. But, yet another argument as to why the Mach Bike is better on custom tracks than the Flame Runner. So. Good last race, I think. I think I demonstrated my big brain, my ability to talk about politics while playing Mario Kart. That's always nice. I think I played some good Mario Kart, too. I was in a much better sort of flow state with this than with Minecraft. And my internet was less shitty because I found a way to sort of manage the bitrate of the stream a little bit better. Although I've still dropped 60,000 frames. That sounds like a lot, but it's only about 17%. Dropped about 17% of my frames. Alright, either way, I'm gonna go find somebody to raid, because I'm feeling it right now. And of course, only Hassan is live when I'm looking for people to raid. God damn it. Wait! Brain blast. Brian F is not live. No. Oh, well, I'll follow him, so I'll get notifications on whether he's live or not. Who would be interesting to raid? Is Doki live? Doki Bird? No, she is not. Okay, well, I think you guys can go over to Hassan. Doing some good old hogwatch, as it were. He loves to do some nice MAGA react content to conservatives doing the whole fake news shtick. My man's is on his 24-hour news cycle grind set, so there we go. Raid Hasanabi. Thank you all for tuning in. Of course, I don't agree with everything Hassan says, but he is a genuine commentator, and that's a very rare thing. I value his opinion quite highly because he genuinely cares a fucking lot. So, have fun. And I'll see you guys in either tomorrow or a couple days from now. We'll see.